Dajiahao, as they say in China. Bitcoin hit two major milestones over the holiday weekend. First of all, on it's actually December 26th, it hit $25,000 for the first time. I was really hoping it would hit 25,000 on Christmas Day because I thought it'd be really cool for it to hit 25,000 on December 25th. And it came very close. It came so close that various media outlets were actually reporting that it did hit 25,000 on Christmas. But when I was looking at the prices, it seemed to me where I was looking at it, it said it got to within $5 to $25,000 and then started going down. And then I went to sleep and then I woke up and I think it was at $25,400, I think. And then it smashed through $26,000 and I think it came close to $27,000 on the 27th. Came up a little short again. And then when I went to sleep 2 nights ago, it got up to like $28,300, and then it started going down. And it's been fluctuating around the $27,000 mark for most of today. And then I think it was yesterday, Bitcoin hit $500 billion. This is a humongous milestone. $500 billion. I think it surpassed the market cap of Visa. This is extremely satisfying for me. I can remember last year when Bitcoin was under $100 billion, I put a post on Facebook with one of the Modern Investors videos explaining the potential of Bitcoin. And I encouraged everyone to watch the video and educate themselves about Bitcoin. And this was also when Bitcoin was around $4,000. Nobody listened, unfortunately. And so Bitcoin started off in 2008, and 12 years later, we're at $500 billion. So you might be asking yourselves, will it take another 12 years to get to $1 trillion? And apparently, you're not the only ones who are thinking that, if you are thinking that. This is an article from a couple weeks ago. I have serious doubts that this article is actually genuine, but it's from Cointelegraph, which I believe is a fairly reputable news website. But anyway, it says here, shock survey suggests most investors think Bitcoin won't top 50,000 by 2030. And apparently this was actually a survey among cryptocurrency investors. So it says a survey from Genesis Mining, that's another reason not to take it seriously, has found that most Bitcoin investors aren't expecting a 50,000 Bitcoin price. I think that should be by 2030 or before 2030. Although 3.5% of respondents tipped prices exceeding $500,000. I don't know, is tipped the right verb there? Yeah. It says, yet, despite the apparently favorable sentiment, just 17% of those surveyed predicted Bitcoin's price would exceed $50,000 by 2030. I think by this point, $50,000 Bitcoin would equal a $1 trillion market cap. This would only require the price to increase by 160% over the next 10 years. This was from December 15th, the day before Bitcoin passed $20,000. So at this point, we're around $27,000. So less than 100% increase is needed for it to get to $50,000 or a $1 trillion market cap. Well, actually, the market's down a little bit more. So might take slightly more than 100% increase to get to $1 trillion as of the second that I'm recording this video, but still far less than 160%. It says at the time of the writing of this article, I think it was even less that was needed at the time this article was published, but it said it would only require an increase of 160% over the next 10 years. Well, Bitcoin has already gained 166.5% during 2020 so far. And again, this is a little outdated. Bitcoin has actually increased almost 300% now. Had a pretty good run the last couple weeks. But I really don't think it's going to take anywhere close to another 12 years to go up another $500 billion. And let me show you why. So this is a chart of Bitcoin's market cap, and we can see that it hit $10 billion for the first time in June of 2016. That was about 8 years after Bitcoin made its debut. And obviously, this was 4 years ago. Didn't take Bitcoin another 8 years to go up another $10 billion. In fact, we got to $20 billion on March 6th. Wow, might have been before that. But we were at $20 billion in March. Was it February? Looks like we hit $20 billion in early March of 2017. So that's about 9 months later. Took 8 years to go to $10 billion. But they only took another 9 months to go up another $10 billion. And then from there, that was March, to go up another $20 billion only took April, May, June. Only took another 3 months. So can you imagine? That's like a year later, it quadrupled in market cap. So just imagine if it quadruples in market cap a year from today, that would be a $2 trillion market cap or a $100,000 Bitcoin, which a lot of people are predicting now. And one of those people was the Modern Investor who I was listening to earlier today, and he was declaring that at this point, no one can possibly be skeptical about Bitcoin hitting $100,000 next year. But I have to say, even though I'm definitely very bullish on Bitcoin, I'm still not completely convinced. I mean, I think it probably will happen. As I said, we've had a percentage increase of nearly 300% this year. Taking a look at this chart, we can see that Bitcoin has had a big increase in growth in the years immediately following the last two halvings. First one was in 2012. That year, we had 189% growth. Next year, 5,429% growth. And then the next one was in 2016. We had 125% growth. The year after that, 1,335% growth. And even if Bitcoin just does the same percentage growth next year that it did this year, that will give it a $100,000 price per coin. I'm pretty sure we can do that, considering that there will be much less Bitcoin created next year than there was last year. That's why you had the big increase in growth in 2013 and in 2017, because that was like the first full calendar year where the supply was less than it was the previous year. However, a 100,000 Bitcoin would result in a market cap of nearly $2 trillion, and that's a lot of money. Like I said, I do think we can and will do it, and I would be very surprised if we don't hit $100,000, but I also wouldn't be shocked if we come up a little short either. And there's something else you need to consider. As you can see from the chart, at 300% increase this year, we've had a much bigger jump this year than in the previous two halving years. You see, 2012, 189% growth, 2016, 125% growth, and that seems a bit odd since we are starting from a bigger base, but the fact is that the halvings have been taking place earlier and earlier in their respective years. The first halving took place in late November. The last one took place in July, and this past one took place in May. That means there has been more months for Bitcoin's supply well to dry up before the end of the year this time than there was the last two times, especially the first time. Ergo, I think we can probably expect Bitcoin to peak earlier and have much less growth than there was in 2017 and 2013. I mean, let's look at this chart again, going by price. So the first, well, it's not here, but what the hell is this? It won't go back. Okay, well, anyway. If we think of where we're at during the first halving, if we're right now we're about 7 months after the last halving. If we compare that to the first halving, that would have been like in June of 2013, and that was about the time they had their first peak, and then they had like a second big peak, I think in November or December. So I think I'm probably gonna start taking profits 6 months from now just to be on the safe side. I mean, there are some people that are saying that the bull markets are getting longer and longer. Like, I think the peak for the last bull market was about the same time as they were both. I think the first one might have been in November 2013. The second one was in December of 2017, even though the second halving took place earlier than in the year. So it's possible we may have a longer bull market this time, but still, just to be on the safe side, not financial advice, but I'm probably going to start taking profits 6 months from now, just to be on the safe side. How much profits I'll be taking will depend on where the price is at, and it would be nice. I wouldn't mind us peaking at 100,000 6 months from now, and then even if that means going into the bear market during the second half of next year. But anyway, moving on. Looking at this tweet from our friend Peter Schiff, released on December 24th. Bitcoin may feel the ripple. So what that's in reference to is that the SEC recently brought a lawsuit against Ripple, who I guess they created XRP, which until recently was like the third biggest cryptocurrency. And ever since then, the price has plummeted. And Peter Schiff made this podcast where he opines that the same thing's going to happen to Bitcoin, that I guess the SEC is going to declare Bitcoin as a security. Yeah, so this is my reply here. I listened to most of the cast, and he says that even though the SEC has already said that Bitcoin is not a security, that it's actually a commodity, but he says in the podcast that Bitcoin really shouldn't be. What is this? Darvish? San Diego Padres have acquired Chicago Cubs starting pitcher Yu Darvish as part of a 7-player deal, according to multiple sources. That's interesting. I'm a Cubs fan, those of you who don't know. Sorry. So he says that Bitcoin isn't really a commodity because you invest in it, which is completely ridiculous. I mean, I remember watching the movie Trading Places and Billionaire Boys Club, and I'm pretty sure, I mean, that was a movie, those were movies about investing, and I'm pretty sure a lot of their investing involved investing in commodities. But anyway, you know Peter, he just loves grasping at straws. So he says that even though it is currently classified as a commodity by the SEC now, that there's a 50% chance that they could change their minds and declare it a security and sue them. And then there would be a 25 or a 50% chance of them winning that lawsuit. So he says there's a 25% chance that will cause the price of Bitcoin to crash, just like it's doing to he actually says Ripple. He keeps saying Ripple is a security over and over in the podcast, but actually it's XRP that's being accused of being a security. But I thought that was kind of interesting when he said that, because just as recently as a few months ago, Mr. Schiff was pretty adamant, saying there was a 100% chance that the price was going to crash. So I replied with this tweet saying, so in this cast, Peter says there's a 25% chance, quote, that the price of Bitcoin will crash. Just a couple months ago, he was saying there was a 100% chance of it crashing. That's quite a turnaround in support of Bitcoin. How long before he's telling people to sell gold for Bitcoin? LOL. There were a couple other interesting replies. You're dreaming. Bitcoin is decentralized and can't be sued. You fail to understand this. Some of us had respect for you at one point. Like this guy here. I guess he didn't listen to the cast, but he says, you realize the SEC already named BTC and Ethereum not a security. Google is your friend, yeah. But like I said, he did actually cover that in the podcast. And this guy says, I'm sorry, but how will BTC feel the Ripple if the SEC comes after BTC? Who the F are they going to come after? That's the beauty of decentralization. And he actually did cover that too. He said that the SEC could possibly start suing exchanges like Coinbase, which I really don't see happening. I mean, if they tried that, Coinbase, they could always just pick up their things and move to another country like Binance did. That might make it harder for Americans to do business on Coinbase. But yeah, I mean, again, Peter, he's grasping at straws. I also listened to a interview with, I think his name is Max Kaiser, who's a huge supporter of Bitcoin, and he was saying, I guess he's apparently friends with Peter Schiff, even though I saw another debate between them two, and Max Kaiser starts jumping up all over the stage, yelling and screaming like a madman because Peter's saying things that are so ridiculous. But apparently, the two of them are actually good buddies. And Max Kaiser said that he's actually been advising Peter Schiff to buy Bitcoin since it was $100. That I think is very amusing. I wish someone would have told me to buy Bitcoin when it was $100. I think I was actually probably even thinking about it. I think I'd heard about Bitcoin when it was at $100, but at that time my financial situation was very bad. But anyway, I think this is probably why Peter Schiff is so desperate to see Bitcoin fail, because he was actually told to buy Bitcoin. Max Kaiser's been telling him to buy Bitcoin several times, and I can only imagine what the conversation was like. Can you imagine Peter Schiff saying $1,000? Oh no, I know you told me to buy it at $100, but it's just a Ponzi scheme, and I'm sure it's gonna crash back down below $100. There's got to come a point when he realizes that he's wrong and he should stop missing out. There was another article, I think the Modern Investor reported on it. There was this, I think, some country singer, maybe from England, who was offered 200,000 Bitcoin back in, I think, 2009 to just allow them to stream one of her concerts or something. And she said no, and that would be worth billions of dollars today. Can you imagine how that feels? That's got to be worse than the pizza guy. So anyway, let's take a look at the price. We're having a bit of a pullback right now. We were at around $27,000 for most of the day, and then a couple hours ago we started dipping down. Bitcoin's currently at $26,438. Ethereum started pumping, I think yesterday. It got over $700 for the first time this year. Maybe, I think that would probably be like the first time since at least 2018 that it's been over $700. I think it got as high as about $760 maybe. It's currently at $714. I'm proud to say when the prices crashed on Thanksgiving, I put another $100 into Ethereum when it fell below $500. So yeah, it's down a little bit over the past couple hours, but still, I think it's only a matter of time before we see a $1,000 Ethereum. And all I can say is it's about time. Not financial advice, of course. XRP really taking it hard up the you-know-what at 23 cents now. Yeah, I bought some when it was like around this price. At the beginning of November, it fell below 24 cents, and I put another $100 into it. And then this whole SEC fiasco is causing people to panic and sell it. So I still have a lot of faith in XRP. I know this thing's going to blow over eventually, but I might have to wait another cycle before I start selling my XRP. I'm not going to sell it for less than $1, that's for sure. I was thinking it might have the potential to reach $10 during this cycle, and it still might. Like I said, it's going to blow over, but right now things aren't looking too good for it. And Litecoin, it was up to like $135. Let's take a look. What was? Let's see if we can find its high. It doesn't. Well, its 24-hour high was $136. Circulating supply is currently a 66663, 66.663. That's not too good. But it's at $128. Pretty good. Can't complain about that. I'm pretty sure we're going to see a $1,000 Litecoin next year. Not financial advice. Polkadot has been doing extremely good over the last 24 hours. It's like the biggest gainer in the top 10, probably in the top 20, probably top 50. I think Polkadot is the biggest gainer, looks like. It's currently at $6.58. I sprinkled a little bit of money into this a few months ago. Not a whole lot. I heard, I think Crypto Zombie, he was predicting it would hit $100 during this cycle. It does. That's okay with me. Like I said, I don't have a lot of money in it, but I'm doing pretty good, and it's a lot better than having that money in the bank, losing purchasing power to inflation. Binance, wow, up to $38. I think this might be an all-time high for Binance. I don't think it's ever been at $40. Let's see if it says. It's up 10% over the last 24 hours. Does it have the all-time high here? Yeah, all-time high is $39.63. So it's just and that happened recently. I mean, over the last 24 hours. Binance Coin, new all-time high. And I've got a few of those. I think it's going to do pretty well over the next year. And then Cardano is doing really good, also up 13.68%. It hit $19. I wish. It hit 19 cents earlier and then started to pull back a little, but it's doing pretty good. I remember when the Shelly upgrade was implemented. I think that happened last summer. There were a bunch of people making outrageous end of the year predictions for Cardano. Some people were saying like $1 by the end of this year, $2. Some people were saying $5, I think. But I actually, on one of the videos on Cardano, I posted that I believed it would end the year at 25 cents. And we just got 2 more days, well, like 3 more days of the year. So I don't think it's going to reach that point, but it could end the year at around 20 cents. And Chainlink, the rest aren't doing too good. Well, Nero's been doing pretty good as late, but it's going sideways over the last day. And Atom is up 10%. VeChain's up almost 20%. Okay, so Bitcoin's down right now, but could keep going down more. I don't know. I also heard somebody reporting that every time Bitcoin goes down, it gets bought right back up. One interesting thing is that all the people have been reporting that the big price increases have been coming from big companies buying Bitcoin like Grayscale, MicroStrategy, Fidelity, PayPal. In my last video, I reported that PayPal had been buying up 70% of the newly minted Bitcoin to meet demand of having it available on their platform. And today I heard that that amount has gone up to 100% being bought by PayPal. But I don't know if they were doing much buying over the holidays, so I'm guessing that the big price jump we had was from retail investors. I'm thinking what might have happened was what happened during Thanksgiving of 2017 when people got together for the holiday and they started talking. The people who invested in Bitcoin started telling all their family members about how much money they made, and all those family members started FOMOing into the market. I think we might have had a little bit of that over this Christmas. After all, Bitcoin hit $20,000 after Thanksgiving, so maybe that effect got delayed a little bit. I remember hearing that the Modern Investor was predicting that was going to happen over this Thanksgiving. It didn't, but when he predicted that, I mean, he sounded pretty confident about it, and I was thinking to myself, if Bitcoin had a big run up to like $50,000 within a month or two after Thanksgiving, I would take a little bit out just to be on the safe side, maybe like $5,000 to $10,000 from Bitcoin. Maybe if Litecoin and XRP jumped up, I would take some out of that. And I'll probably still do that. If Bitcoin runs up to $50,000 over the next month, I'll probably take a little bit out just to be on the safe side. But still, like I said in my last video, I think this bull run is just beginning, even though we're down a little bit right now. I think 2021 is going to be a much better year than 2020. So that's going to do it for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. Happy holidays. And as they say in China, 再见.